Hello, our names are Nataliia Prydvorova and Ilona Skibina. We'd like to present our joint research with Shvedova on the topic of normalization of early modern Ukrainian in GRAC, the case of Lesia Ukrainka's works. Our aim is to expand GRAC, a corpus of the Ukrainian language, namely to introduce the texts from a recent edition of the collection of works by Lesia Ukrainka. It should be noted that this work is the first experience and, for the time being, the only one to lematize a Ukrainian author's vocabulary on the basis of a closed corpus of texts. We use the experience of the electronic corpus of 17th and 18th century Polish texts, as well as the experience of updating the MyStem lemmatizer and the Bimorphy morphological analyzer for the Russian language. In our presentation, we will focus on 6 major issues: the recent edition of the Lesia Ukrainka's works collection, the morphological analysis problem, the aim of our research, the proposed rules, groups of words suggested for being included into the main dictionary, and statistics. An important property of the new edition is that the texts are intended to preserve the original appearance of the text with all the word forms that the writer once used. Unlike the previous versions, the spelling is not changed and therefore gives us access to the analysis of the language standards and realities of the period in which Lesia Ukrainka worked. For example, in the previous editions, you might find many corrections with regard to the original text, as shown in the image. Instead of the authentic skilka, the variant kilka was inserted. Instead of svita, svitu, and so on. Thus, in earlier editions of her works, all the non-normalized forms of words were edited in accordance with spelling rules of the day. The synonyms like babusia, babushka, cherven, iyun, and other pairs used by the author were reduced to a single normative form in each case. Due to the authentic spelling, the process of analysis of some words has become more difficult, as the program identifies the words according to the modern rules behind it. Thus, an important step in this work should be creating and implementing new rules to improve token recognition within the text. Thus, in the works of Lesia Ukrainka, there may be some words with ending that are not typical for a certain case in the present-day norm, such as svita instead of svitu, or pomisti instead of pomistu, etc. The system fails to assign any category to them.
So the main objectives of our work are to expand the text base of the original annotated corpus of the Ukrainian language, to create linguistic rules that improve an additional dictionary module for processing the author's corpus of text normalization algorithm used to lemmatize not standard tokens. The model is developed by Andriy Racing and to increase the accuracy of morphological annotation. Therefore, in order to resolve the problem of part-of-speech tagging and lemmatization, an additional list of rules enhancing so-called dynamic tagging has been created. These rules use only for the analysis of Lesia Ukrainka's corpus, and they cover: first, orthographic and word formation variants. A combination of letters y, e is used instead of y. EE instead of YE, or E instead of OE. In many words, the author's spelling is preserved with the letter IL in place of the standard I. The combination of letters EE are used instead of EE in the long forms of adjectives in the nominative plural. The soft sign is used after R at the end of the masculine nouns in the initial form. The suffix ish is used instead of suffix ish in adjectives and adjectival adverbs. There are also words with combination of letters sitene instead of sine, a list of words with initial e, and words kilko tilko and their derivatives instead of kilki tilki. The next one is variant form. The ending a is used instead of e in nominative plural noun which denote the names of certain nations. Doubling of letters and ending "iv" is used in the genitive case of nouns in the plural form. Ending "ov" is used instead of "iv" in the genitive case of nouns in the plural form. Ju is used instead of ju in the first person singular verbs of the present tense. There are other animal word forms, in particular pronouns, some nouns, adverbs in comparative and superlative degree. In addition, when analyzing the text of Lesia Ukrainka, some variant paradigms lacking some alteration were found. They were added as variant paradigms to the main dictionary. A non-standard variant of ending "a" in the genitive singular was added to a number of masculine nouns in the dictionary. Lesia Ukrainka used the nouns with the root "with" in two versions, masculine, which is now normative for them, and feminine. For example, chasopis, chasopis. The variant of the feminine gender of nouns with the root "with" are added to the dictionary as separate lamps. There are also other groups of words suggested for being included into the main dictionary, especially old names of months of Latin origin, old abbreviation, and proper names. So it is also important to emphasize that a user of GRAC does not see the process of normalization and the normalized text. They can see only the original text, and the rules in question are only used for lemmatization of unrecognized words. As Lesia Ukrainka's texts have a specific spelling of words, the Western-based morphological analysis program could not recognize these words. We would like to give you an overview of the statistics on this issue. There were more than 55,000 unrecognized tokens, or 4.9% of the total size of the subcorpus, which far exceeded the number of words usually left unrecognized in the analysis of standard texts. Statistics show that these basic rules help to improve the result of morphological markup. So to conclude, the experience of processing the Lesia Ukrainka corpus has shown that for such subcorpora with variant spelling, it's advisable to introduce additional rules to capture individual spelling and grammatical variants. For closed subcorpus that will not be updated in the future, such as complete works of an author, it is even possible to perform morphological analysis of every single word from using manual processing. However, we must bear in mind that while expanding a large historical corpus, the number of cases requiring the use of additional rules steadily increases. And this fact reduces the efficiency of this method. Thank you for watching.